As part of the series Feasts of the Holy Land, we've asked people to share about their experience during Lent.
Hi, I'm Jasmine, and for me, Lent is a time to recenter my life on Christ, to appreciate anew his passion, death, and resurrection.
Hello, I'm Sibyl. I've decided to stop spending so much time on my phone and on Facebook and instead dedicate that time to studying the Bible and reading more.
Hi, I'm Barnaby. I am going to give up thinking or saying anything negative, and instead I'm going to take up a daily practice of gratitude.
Hello, my name is Eileen. Lent to me is a time when we can refocus our lives back on the Lord, and one way to do that is to give up things from our lives, not even because they're inherently bad, but more so to make room and to make time in our day-to-day lives to let God in and to let him work.
Hi, I'm Helen. This year for Lent, I will be giving up Netflix series and also starting a new daily prayer to St. Joseph, as Pope Francis has named this his year.
Hi, I'm Blanca. For Lent, I've given up social media and taken up a special daily prayer. I'm really enjoying growing in faith and having more time to dedicate to personal growth and to growing closer to God.
Hi everyone, my name is Teresita. What I want to improve on more is just improving my prayer life, as I think that is the main focus of why I'm doing this for Lent, in terms of growing closer to God and stopping other things distracting me from that.
Earlier today, I spoke with George in the Holy Land and with Barnaby and Owen in London. And I asked them, how are they experiencing this period of solemn observance?
It's also important not to think that Lent is just about sacrifice. It's also about what you're going to take on as well. So I've tried my best to take on some kind of holy hour every day. And an hour is probably a bit of an exaggeration, but I have made an effort to take some time to either pray or do some kind of spiritual reading to try and develop and grow in some way. And it's been pretty successful, I think. The middle part of Lent was a bit of a lull, but I've gotten back into it again.
George, in your tradition, Lent is somewhat different, isn't it?
Yeah, it's different. In the church here, we just for these 6 weeks we eat everything, but except the things that for animals. In our Lent, we try to be like old Adam before he was fallen from the heaven. So we try to eat what God first gave Adam to eat. I try to sacrifice myself to make the image of Jesus to be shown in my life. That what I most try to sacrifice than eating. The hardest part is to try to get new habits and removing old habits and bad things, like when you have all the time to capture what are you doing, like I said that I need to think before I say, I need to think before I move, everything, like you try to catch yourself from doing anything. It's the hardest part I experience in Lent.
Well, much like the previous two speakers, I started off with great intentions. I was, in fact, feeling very brave and strong at the start of Lent. But as Lent progressed, I realized that I perhaps thought I was a bit mightier than I actually am. So I started off trying to pray the rosary every day, giving up sweets and alcohol. And I also added an extra discipline to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning. And at a lot of these disciplines, I've miserably failed, but some of them I've kept. For example, not eating sweets and not drinking alcohol, which I suppose are fairly menial, but they do help to make me realize that we need very little, really, and that we quite often fill our time with things we don't need, which distracts us from God. And so actually I felt much more at peace, if you like, cutting out all these distractions and if you like, perhaps even addictions, or as George was saying, these habits which get in the way and take away our freedom. So in that sense, Lent has been very refreshing. And I suppose coupled with the idea of giving up various things, there's also the idea of just facing temptations, whatever they are, whenever they come up. And so I found that also to be, in a sense, exciting, to realize that we are in a spiritual battle and that the consequences are eternal. And it certainly has reminded me why I'm a Catholic, having lots of temptations. And it has, at the end of the day, strengthened my faith and relationship with God, because it showed me that it's not just sweets and alcohol that I give up, but it's every sin, really. And the harder the temptation, the more secure I feel in my relationship with God once it's been overcome. So I think Lent has been, on a serious note, actually great in terms of becoming close with God and getting that distance from all of the nonsense of life that really pulls us away from God. So it turned out a bit different to how I thought, but I think it's been a very rewarding experience nonetheless.
The church will be like too much loud sound. So I pray there. When I get back and I get in quiet and read Psalms by my quiet self, no phone, no music, nothing, there I feel that there is a presence of God. Like I feel that he talks to me. Like I feel his, like, the warm, you feel the warm, but you don't see the the fire. That's it.
Last night I was watching a documentary, I think it was called Brotherhood. It was about the monks, the Trappist monks of Mount St. Bernard Abbey in, I think it's Leicestershire. I just found it really powerful and striking, just similar to what Barnaby was saying about how we need to get rid of a lot of the material things that surround us. These monks have done that and live an extremely simple life, to the point where they really limit what they say. Even the rule is you need to keep it concise. And it's always like the ultimate goal for them is death and to die well. And it's just a different perspective on, it's such a completely different perspective on what we're taught and surrounded by every day. Where we should, maximize and splurge and live life to the fullest, which absolutely we should. But it should also be, I guess, centered on God. And I guess it's interesting as well, that old Catholic and monastic tradition of silence, and seeing what happens when silence is embraced, and seeing actually how much good it can do for you. Because again, as I said, in today's world, we're bombarded with sounds and sights and smells. Everywhere we go, it's the first thing we see in the morning when we look at our phone for the news. So to kind of step back from that permanently must be a pretty profound thing. What are some of the difficulties that Christians are facing at the moment living in the Holy Land? Modern Christians in the Holy Land. Is it quite difficult at the moment?
It's very difficult because like most of the parents and most of the childs today, most of them, they don't have a personal relationship with God. We have relationship with God through the church. I'm not saying no, but the personal relationship between someone and another, and someone and God, someone and God is so like disappeared. You find it like in some little people, but most of people here, they don't have that relationship. That's why we don't have like spiritual growth. We like the spiritual growth is like down. It's not growing up, it's growing down. We hear about London like in television, like the teenagers today, like they show us the unkind Christianity, like Christians, like what I see in TV. They show Christians as like as a stupid community, having some troubles, mental troubles. Uh, we get that idea, and my classmates, my Muslim classmates, are getting this idea about the Christians there, that the Christians who goes to Jesus, they have like it. How can you say about the real Christians, the silent Christian community?
Well, that's a very good question. And I think you're completely right that the media and certainly the popular culture likes to portray Christians as being losers, I would say, in a sense, in that they're not necessarily ideologically focused on worldly success and pleasure. And to much of modern culture, that seems completely bizarre and ridiculous. It makes us appear weak, deranged, deluded, unintelligent, etc. So I can see where you're coming from with that idea, with that impression. But as for the reality, I'm a convert myself. So for the last 6 years or so, I've been a Catholic, and I found the most honourable, humble, joyful, truthful, supportive, and charitable people there. Oh, not to mention also, they're all perfectly intelligent and well educated. So I think the popular narrative is complete rubbish. But of course, you can find examples where Christians behave badly or aren't well educated or intelligent, just as you could for any other religion or for that matter, lack of religion. And I'm afraid that the presentation of Christians in the UK has been rather warped to fit that narrative. And that's just the situation we find ourselves in. How exactly to systemically solve that is certainly beyond my knowledge and the scope of this discussion. But personally, I just try to be as holy as I can possibly be.
Yeah.
And that's all I do, really.
Yeah. If I can add as well, for me, Christianity should be, I think, for every Christian, a very uncomfortable religion. So we should never be complacent or too relaxed in our faith, because I think the Gospels always teach us that, we can always strive for better, and that we fail all the time, but obviously there's mercy and love there for us. So maybe seeing the pushback that a lot of modern society has for the Christian faith and values and principles is perhaps telling of a lot of the truth in our faith, that it is uncomfortable, but it is, it's kind of like a tough medicine. You don't want to take it, but it's ultimately what will help you. So that's kind of how I see the clash between society and religion at the moment.
In a way, we are all saved sinners, and we live in the realization that we cannot do it alone and that we need God. But in our society, I'm often asked, like, are you really as dumb or stupid that you really need God? Why do you need God? We don't need God. And I think if people really kind of realize how their lives are and what they're lacking, they all will actually realize that they have a longing for God. But in our society here in Europe, God is often replaced by all sorts of substitutes, which are not really bringing any peace and real acceptance in our lives. But people are really blinded by all the material things around us. So I think being a Christian in our society here in Europe, it is unpopular in a way, maybe in a different way than you, George, in Bethlehem, where you live. But that's why I think it is so important to find the time of peace and quiet. And this Lenten time is a beautiful time to actually reflect on our relationship with God.
Well, thank you, George. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Owen. Thank you, Barnaby. Thank you, Anita. I'm very blessed to meet you.
Wonderful. Well, we'll continue this conversation in the future.
My pleasure.
Wonderful. Hey, all the best. And thank you. Have a good evening.
Thanks, Anita.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye-bye.